It was mid-February of 2019 when I was sitting in the middle of my mastermind group. It was a group of high-level leaders, and we were spending the day just spending some time going even further on ourselves and being led powerfully in the group. And for this particular exercise, we were all going around and sharing something that was meaningful that we could all use some support with. And I asked for some support. I asked for some support, and shared a story in my life. And honestly, to tell you the truth, the story that I shared was really about uh, a story of belonging, of a time where I felt like I didn't belong. And I got some feedback. I got some feedback on that story around where it was powerful, where it was missing the mark. And I remember sitting in that circle, just really trying to get through a frustration. And the frustration I was trying to get through was the feeling of not being understood. And so as I was telling the story, people were coming back and giving me feedback, and they told me that I wasn't bringing enough emotion to it. They weren't able to feel my emotions in it. I remember being really frustrated, and then like saying, "Okay, well, if you want to hear a story where I have emotion, here it is." And I shared this belonging story with them. And right after I finished it, someone to my left raised her hand, and she said, "You know, you have this beautiful name. It's Niyama. And this story, you just use that word there. And I think to myself, why aren't you using that powerful and beautiful name more often?" You see, at the time, sitting in that circle, I'd been going by the name Nemo. I had been Nemo for over 20 or about 20 years at that time, ever since I was a high school student. And I got that nickname from my band group. And I was sitting in that circle, and she mentioned, "Why don't you use the name Niyama, which is the name that your parents gave you? It's imbued with power. It's a beautiful name. Why are you using this name Nemo?" And I remember looking at her, turning to my left and looking at her. I'm going to right in the eyes and saying, "Thank you." And that's it. Just simply like accepting the comment, but not really receiving the comment. You know how that is. You know how that can be, right? But it's like thanks, but like I'm Nemo. I'm Nemo. And just really refusing the call to step into anything beyond. Right afterwards, I didn't know this. It was kind of like the 1-2 combo. Right afterwards, another gentleman in the circle stepped forward and said, "I need to tell you something, Nemo. And I'm going to say this loudly so you can hear it." And that kind of perked me up. I got like set up straighter in my seat. And I put my hands open and upwards on my lap so that I can take in the moment. And he said, "I need to say this. I'm going to say this so you can hear it. You are a big, black, bold, beautiful man. And when you are that, people get you, people understand you because you are being in the fullness of you. You're just complete. You just make sense. But when you do this thing, when you're being fluffy and creamy and all around white, we lose you, and there's a disconnect, and we don't know what it is, and it causes a little bit of discomfort. And the thing is, Nemo, you don't need to make us feel safe. You don't need to make anyone feel safe." He said those words to me, and I I had no words to say afterwards. I had no words to say afterwards because inside of me there was almost like a chasm that got opened up, and I can feel almost on the inside here a massive shift because he had said the words, "You don't need to make anyone feel safe." And I hadn't realized it at that time, but I had put the burden, the responsibility of making other people feel safe around me as one of my top priorities. As one, and I was so in it that I didn't recognize that I was doing it. Why? Because And as he said, I am a big black man. I'm a big black man. And the fear that I thought that people would get if they saw me as a big black man, the thoughts that would come to their mind, the stereotypes that I would go into, really did not have room for who I really thought I was. I thought if I was seen that way first and foremost, then I would be judged by that as opposed to who I am. And so in that comment, the juxtaposition of you are a big, black, bold, beautiful man with it is not your job to keep anyone safe. You do not need to keep anyone safe. And my colleague turning to me and saying, there is power in your name, Niyama. Why aren't you using it? Somehow that led to this magical confirmation of events. And like I said, it almost felt like there was a chasm within me that just like opened up wide enough for this name, Niyama, which I hadn't used in 20 years, to come forth. And I still have the notebook. I wrote down in this notebook here, I said, I am Niyama Shang. I am Niyama Shang, Niyama Shang, Niyama Shang, Niyama Shang. I was crying at the time. Tears were flowing down my face. In fact, after he said it, I didn't have words, and I'm a talker. I reached up to this gentleman. I just gave him a hug as tears started landing on his shoulders. And the rest of the circle continued with the exercise, and I sat down. And after what felt like an hour, we closed the circle down before our evening activity. I just had one thing to say. It was the only thing I could say. So while we were all sharing our insights for the day, I came out and made one announcement. And it was, as of this moment, Nemo is complete. And going forward, I shall be Niyama Shang from here on out. It was on that day that I started to reclaim the power of my name. And that's here is what this conversation is all about. It's an opportunity for us to explore the power of our name, the power of the names that we were given, the power of the names that we were chosen, the power of the names that we have chosen. And also the power of the labels that we may give ourselves or the ways in which we use ourselves. Just understanding the power of names in both the literal and figurative sense for us. I am Niyama Shang, leader of the World Joy Movement. And today we're going to have a World Joy conversation. A World Joy conversation is not like any other conversation you typically have. This is a conversation where we're not here to debate or convince, but we're actually here to listen and to be transformed. See, that last part is really interesting, to be transformed. We're not here to change anyone else. We're not here to get other people to see things the way we see it. We are actually in this space for a space of transformation, to share in such a way, with such level of honesty and depth, that we encourage, absolutely with courage, that we are, each individual here is able to transform themselves just a bit. Our measure of success here is 1% different. You can leave here 1% different, 1% deeper in your knowledge, 1% more connected to yourself, 1% more connected to someone else. Then we've succeeded in our conversation. We look at our World Joy conversations as an opportunity to leave the way that most people think that connection and communication and relationship is formed. And instead, we give ourselves a chance to explore the communication techniques, tools, and experiences that are going to take us and help us move forward in this ever more uncertain and ever more volatile world. Because one thing that we found is that as the times get less and less stable, as each day looks more different than the day before, the fastest way to have the surest footing is to be able to be in communication, to share ideas, to share information, to get help, to have someone look at you and ask a powerful question to help you see places you haven't been and that no one else has been. It's hard nowadays, and we each have our challenges, and we come together under conversation to be able to find that deeper connection. And through that, through the connections built here, find opportunities to collaborate all throughout the work that we do, and even further on the World Joy Movement platform, which you can go to by going to beworldjoy.com.
It's the World Joy Movement. Yeah. What was your greatest insight from this conversation? And if you want to come and be a part of a conversation like this live, it's really simple. Just go to beworldjoy.com and come introduce yourself, and let's take the conversation to the next level, because you're there now. All right, let's play.